Thank you very much for staying. Now to the first story. Vice Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, Kwame Jantua, is calling for the amendment into some clauses of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, PRMA. This is to allow for some changes to be made into the annual budget funding amount, ABFA, the clause which oversees disbursement of funds to the 4 priority areas from the petroleum funds. He spoke with Joy Business at a stakeholders workshop on oil-funded projects in Accra. There's more in the following report. The Petroleum Revenue Management Act mandates the Finance Minister to set 4 priority areas for the annual budget funding amount for every 3 years. However, there are concerns the allocation has not been utilized fairly as prescribed by the law. According to Kwame Jantua, Vice Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, an amendment will enable effective use of funds on specific projects and programs. A research finding by the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Energy, KITE, revealed the bulk of the ABFE has been spent on non-priority projects contrary to the law. Kwame Jantua spoke with Joy Business's Ebenezer Sabuti.
You can choose not more than 4, so you can choose one. You can choose one. It's already in the law. You can choose one. The other side of the coin is that the law itself, I think section 56 or 58, talks about penalties. In terms of if oil revenue is not used well, the penalties that need to be executed. Who executes those penalties? PIAC doesn't have prosecutorial powers to execute those penalties. Is it the Public Accounts Committee? Is it the Attorney General? So far, nobody has been able to implement those penalties where oil revenues aren't used properly. We need to go back to that. That's why sometimes I'm gradually beginning to see that, no, we need to look at the PRMA again and see those clauses that are not beneficial to us or we haven't been able to use them well, so that if we have to amend, we amend. If we have to put in the right enforcement procedures, let's put in the right enforcement procedures so that we can get some benefit. We've been mining gold for 100 years. If I ask you what gold has done, would you be able to tell me? We don't want to go down that line with oil.
The event was used to share ideas on how funds from the oil revenue were utilized in the past 6 years. Ishmael Ejekumihene is the executive director of KITE.
We found ourselves spending the money on too many things, and as a result, we cannot put our fingers on A, B, C, D, and say that after 6 years and after $3.4 billion, this is what we have gotten out of oil. So that's the concern, and I think many Ghanaians share in this concern, because we need to make sure that we have sent something to show the oil is finite. It will finish, whether we even make more discoveries, it will one day dry up, and we need to have something to show for that.
So who should be blamed for all this?
I would say various levels. First and foremost, it's the Minister of Finance who sets the priorities and who decides what's to be funded. The law requires that the minister goes back to Parliament every year to account for how the money has been utilized. So if he's doing that, and he does that because it has to go with the budget every year, if he does that, then Parliament should be the ones scrutinized, because they were the ones who made the law. So it's a combination of actors. PIAC is supposed to put them on their toes.
Meanwhile, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee is in the final stage of preparations for the semi-annual report on all oil revenue receipts for the first half of the year 2017. Now, stakeholders in the aviation industry have committed to ensuring high safety standards in the sector to retain the country's enviable air safety status. Kotoka International Airport was recently adjudged winner of the 2017 Air Safety Awards. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the Aviation Safety Week, Director for Safety Regulations at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Daniel Akwa, said the role of improved standards cannot be overemphasized.
The Maiden Safety Week celebration of the Aviation Safety Inspectors Association of Ghana brought together management and staff of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, as well as airline companies and service providers to deliberate on safety measures in the industry and its role in making air travel a preferred choice of transport. Daniel Akwa is Director for Safety Regulations at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
Quality-wise, yes, we are up to the standard because Ghana is a signatory to the ICAO, that's the International Civil Aviation Organization, and all signatories to that convention are supposed to execute the standards and recommended practices. ICAO has a way of scoring the various countries, and Ghana is quite high. Even as far back as 2006, Ghana was about the 5th position in Africa, and we've held on to that kind of high standards that the other countries even send their inspectors here for training. Even right now, today, we have an inspector from another foreign country or African country with us undertaking on-the-job training. So Ghana, we are doing quite well.
On her part, the Aviation Minister, Cecilia Dapa, acknowledged the role of safety as one of the determining factors to establish Ghana as an aviation hub in Africa.
It is the vision of government to establish Ghana as an aviation hub within the West Africa sub-region, and also to position Ghana as the preferred destination of choice for travelers, be they tourists, investors, or even Ghanaians that want to travel to other regions. Government, through the Ministry of Aviation, recognizes the importance of safety as one of the determining factors for the success of the hub concept. An institutional and policy framework has therefore been put in place to enhance safety and security of our air services. In this regard, the Ministry of Aviation has set out key priority areas and initiated interventions which have impacted significantly on the growth of air transport and passenger travel experience towards the realization of the hub vision.
The week-long celebrations underway at the Ghana Civil Aviation Training Academy will include a series of conferences and exhibitions.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Aviation, Cecilia Dapa, has inaugurated a joint aviation tourism technical committee for the development of 2 sector ministries. The committee is tasked with addressing challenges in both sectors to make it more attractive for investors and tourists arriving in the country and to ultimately double passenger arrivals in Ghana. Sheila Tamaklu witnessed the inauguration and has come through with this report.
According to the International Air Transport Association, IATA, out of 62.7 million jobs worldwide supported by the Global Air Transport Association, 36.3 million are tourism-related. According to the Aviation Minister, it is necessary for the major stakeholders to unlock their tourism potential of a country.
If aviation teams up with tourism, we could have a seamless tourism industry for the country. People book their tickets and they know where they are going to sleep and where they are going to visit. That's what we want to do. It's seamless. And these, they are not new. They've been practiced in other countries, and I believe we will also benefit from this system. That's why we have jointly inaugurated this committee to help advise the 2 ministers and the ministries as to the way forward in this vision. We intend to double tourist visits or tourism. We want exponential growth in air travel, and we want to open up the country to Ghanaians and to other visitors to this nation. Yes, I want to also contribute to socio-economic development of this nation.
On his part, Acting Chief Director for the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Arts, Dr. John N.E. Sonny, noted the aviation industry had a key role in making Ghana the preferred destination for investors and tourists, which has necessitated the setting up of a committee.
And aviation plays a very important role, especially in getting people moving within the country, across between countries, and then across the continent or the globe. For us in the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, the aviation industry is a very key partner in promoting tourism and making Ghana the preferred destination in terms of leisure, in terms of investment. So for us, this committee that has been inaugurated this afternoon is very important in terms of looking at the technical issues. What are the issues on the table? What are the challenges? What are the strategies that we need to address those challenges so that Ghana becomes the gateway, deepening the Ghana's position as the gateway West Africa, deepening our position in terms of competitiveness, and making sure that we take advantage, especially within the West African sub-region, of making Ghana the hub of business, in the hub of tourism.
Sheila Tamaklu's report for Joy Business.
Internet users will, in the coming months, enjoy lower charges as government works to get the cost reviewed downwards. That's the assurance from the Minister of Communications, Esla Owusu, who is advocating infrastructure sharing among internet service providers in this bid. Reports indicate that the cost of internet in Ghana is one of the highest in West Africa due to the isolated installation of underground fiber optics by telcos. Madam Owusu argues this trend will soon change. She's been explaining to Joy Business at the maiden edition of the Broadband Ghana Forum program.
I've been informed, and I haven't had a chance to verify, that the amount of fiber buried in the ground in Ghana, if we joined it end to end, would cover this country 7 times over. But because they've been laid in the same places and they've duplicated the infrastructure in the same places, you have a lot of fiber, metro fiber, and around the large cities, while large parts of this country are not covered. We can't continue this way. It's very expensive to lay fiber. So if we sit down in a room and decide that, okay, there's enough fiber here, we all want to extend our services to another location, let us join our resources. So instead of everybody laying down fiber to extend services to, say, Nandom, let's decide that, okay, Company A will do from point A to point B. Company B will continue from point B to point C. Or an infrastructure company set up not to provide the services but to lay down the infrastructure, will lay down the fiber, and everybody will lease capacity on it to do their work. So they reduce their capital expenditure. They don't need to invest so much in building their own fiber network, but they can lease capacity from infrastructure companies to extend their services to the areas where they want to extend services to. They're reducing their capital expenditure and operational expenditure, and so they are reducing their cost of delivering those services and can transfer that cost into reduced prices for their services to the consumer. So we believe that if we work together to develop an infrastructure sharing code and facilitate that, and make it easier for them to also extend their service. There will be competition, all right, but they'll be competing on the quality of the services they provide, not in the access that they can, the areas that they can extend their services to. And it gives consumers more choice too. They can decide which network to use in their locality. We want to connect the entire country within the next 2-3 years. It is possible if we work with the network operators, broadband wireless operators, and internet service providers to see how best we can do that by sharing the cost of laying out the necessary infrastructure and pooling our resources together. Because at the end of the day, if this works and every part of this country is connected, all of them can extend their services to all parts of the country instead of small geographical locations that they may be limited to now.
Now, in less than 24 hours, farmers across the country will be recognized for feeding the populace and their invaluable contribution to the growth of the economy. The annual Farmers' Day celebration, to be held tomorrow in the Ashanti regional capital, will spot the best farmers and be awarded for their efforts. But ahead, the Agriculture Workers Union, General Agriculture Workers Union, GAU, is questioning the objective of several policies being implemented by government for the agri sector, including the importation of seedlings for its flagship Planting for Food and Jobs program, warning it could cause the entry of genetically modified foods onto the Ghanaian market and put the consumer at risk. GAU is also against the declaration of 1st December as holiday just to celebrate farmers. Now, away from that, all is set for West Africa's biggest gathering and outdoor event, the Joy FM Schools Reunion, happening at the Trade Fair Center this Saturday, December 2. The annual Joy FM Schools Reunion brings together thousands of individuals and groups under one roof to celebrate with old school friends, relive the memorable moments of senior high school days, and reconnect with lost mates. Now, but the other reason you must make it to the schools reunion are the freebies expected to be shared by a local beverage entity Adonko Bitters, which is the main sponsor of the event. Let's now hear from the marketing manager of Adonko Bitters, Samuel Amankwa.
I could see that this year's event is going to be massive with respect to crowd. And because of that, we also want crowd marketers. So we wanted to partner so that we can take advantage of the crowd. I mean, demonstrate what we have to them in terms of free sampling, branding, so that we can also get some mileage. And when it comes to events and events organization, Joy FM or multimedia, you are the definition of events. So it isn't bad. I wouldn't be far from right if I should partner your event. There's the more reason why I came on board. We can only boast of one brand, which is Adonko Bitters. Very soon we shall be coming out with other brand extended products. But for now, it's only Adonko Bitters, and they should expect a lot. As I told you, we would be doing free sampling. A lot of people have heard of Adonko does that, but have not had the chance to taste it before. You can have the chance there. Quite apart from that too, it wouldn't be only the normal Adonko that you know of that are sold in shots. We shall come with a variety of cocktails. Cocktail with Adonko, the ginger-based cocktail with Adonko, pineapple-based cocktail with Adonko, mango-based, all made from natural fruits. All right. So if Adonko Bitters is so strong for you or too strong for you, you can opt for any of the variety of the cocktails. And mostly the ladies, they are interested in the pineapple cocktail, and the men too prefer the ginger cocktail to the mango and the pineapple. So a whole lot of things are going to be, available for participants. Then also we shall be giving out souvenirs, our t-shirts, branded t-shirts, shirts like I'm wearing, and the performers of the event too, we are going to give them a whole lot of stuff. So all they have to do is to come to the venue.
So all attention will be at this year's Joy FM Old Schools Reunion, and will be held at the Trade Fair Center at La in Accra on Saturday, the 2nd of December. Away from that, ratings agency Moody's is warning that Ghana would be paying high interest on any fresh Eurobonds that would be issued by the country. The warning was contained in the agency's latest report on African countries on the Eurobond market. There's more in the following Business Desk report.
According to the ratings agency, Ghana would pay huge interest on fresh Eurobond issued because of a pickup in interest rates in the US and investors who will be seeking compensation for increases for global interest rates. The warning by Moody's is coming at a time government is planning to issue its first Eurobond next year to raise some 1 billion Ghana cedis to finance the budget deficit. But Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has assured government is working to secure the best interest rate on the market for the Eurobond sale. Moody's is again predicting Ghana could be faced with a huge financial burden between 2020 to 2023. This is because the country is required to pay about $4.5 billion to investors who bought into previous Eurobond issued by the country. The development should mean that whoever is managing the economy during that time must implement the repayment in a way that would not put pressure on the Ghana cedi or lead to serious depreciation. Analysts have argued that borrowing outside may be good in terms of freeing the domestic space for local businesses. But the challenge is when the time is due for paying off investors, that could put a lot of pressure on the cedi, a development that could bring about serious depreciation.
The rising levels of loan defaults is negatively affecting the operations of not only banks, but non-bank financial institutions as well. That's according to Chief Executive of IFS Financial Services, Kojo. The Bank of Ghana has pegged average rate of non-performing loans in the banking sector at about 21% as of October this year, a situation many analysts say could spell doom for the banking industry. Mr. Ohiche says the situation is worse in the non-bank financial institutions. He has been speaking with Joy Business as IFS Financial Services celebrates 10 years of operations in the country.
The market in which we operate has challenges in terms of debt recovery. It takes a long time to go through the judicial process to recover a debt, and on average it can take you probably 4 years to recover one loan through our court system. So it's something that needs reform.
Does it mean you're also affected by the non-performing loans?
Yes, obviously. I mean, you know, if you heard what the governor said at the last MPC press release, the universal banks have about 21% on average non-performing loans, some as high as 40 and some lower than 10. But generally you would notice that the risk associated with the non-bank sector, the risks are higher, and so the non-performing loan ratios tends to be a little higher than the banks. So it's an industry-wide problem. We work hard at it, and many times we are successful, but those that have to go through the courts really cause a lot of problems and delays.
Do you see it as a threat to the growth of the financial markets, especially with non-finance houses like IFS?
It does. I mean, anytime you have a loan that is not performing, it's an idle asset. And so it puts pressure on the capital of the institution.
Now, the World Bank is rejecting arguments that reducing electricity tariffs would collapse and affect fresh investment into the power sector. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2018 budget proposed between 11 and 21% cut in electricity tariffs, subject to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission's approval. However, some industry analysts have kicked against this move, insisting it would affect the sector, which is already struggling to secure good returns on investments. Country Director of the World Bank, Henry Kerali, tells Joy Business the problem is rather with addressing the inefficiencies in the sector.
The tariff reduction is one element of a more efficient energy sector. We still know that energy distribution, electricity distribution system incurs quite significant losses. So efficiency means reducing those losses. We very much look forward to the private sector participation in the distribution company, ECG, which we see as an important step in improving the efficiency of the distribution system. The collection of tariffs has been a challenge, partly because some government ministries, departments and agencies do not pay their own electricity bills, but also partly because there have been other technical and non-technical losses in the distribution system. So it is important to have that efficiency in the energy sector in order to have the reliability of supply and also an effective, cost-effective system.
So you don't see this as a problem, as in reducing it being affecting the sector?
It would only affect the sector if the inefficiencies that we observe at the moment continue. So as long as there is improved efficiency in the tariff collection, improved efficiency or reduction, if you wish, in the losses that we see in the distribution system, all of these tariff reductions would actually be less than the losses, the current levels of losses in the distribution system.
Now time for the interview of the day segment, and we are still committed to issuing a 2 billion cedi bond to support small businesses in the country. That's the assurance coming from the private sector arm of the World Bank, IFC. The corporation had initially planned to issue the bond in 2013, but had to put it on hold because of what they described at that time as unfavorable economic environments. Ronke Amoni Ogunsolere is Country Director of International Finance Corporation.
activities are still very important to us. Ghana being the size it is, the second largest economy in West Africa, sixth largest in Africa. It's very important that the capital markets are developed in Africa. I mean, in Ghana in particular. The banks can't do it all, so it's very important. At the moment, we haven't, we're really focused on things that government is prioritizing at this particular moment. Not to say that they are not interested, but there's certain key issues that they're sorting out at the moment, for instance, the energy sector concerns, and they've assured us that this is something that they'd like to look into as soon as possible.
When would you deem as the market being ready for this ambitious program that everybody's waiting for, this exercise?
I would say that the market has been ready for some time, and with a government that's very private sector focused, this is something that they're putting in the forefront of the work that they're doing, so we'll be very pleased to support them in that.
In terms of your support for businesses here in the country, one would say that are you working to again be more aggressive and more sector focused to ensure that the results that you're looking for, do you realize it?
Well, yes, we've always been extremely focused on the private sector in Ghana. It's one of our largest exposures in Africa, and this is because it has a fairly large private sector and sponsors with whom we can work. A private sector diagnostic is something that we hope will help us do even more in Ghana, help unlock some of these sectors that we've had some concerns in doing. So, for instance,
and that will be it for the show tonight. But before we finally go, thousands of people have died in the quest to seek better living conditions in Europe through dangerous means. Despite diverse efforts by African and EU governments to curb migration, little has changed as more people try to reach Europe, even at the peril of their lives. Deutsche Welle and its Ghanaian partner, Multimedia Group Limited, is holding an open forum for those affected at the University of Ghana Hall. The town hall debate is being held at the conference hall of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE. So we'll shortly be carrying you live to the ISE conference room for a live transmission of the event. Until then, it's a wrap for Business Live. Thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good evening.